Great Lakes undergo incredible transformation in less than 1 month. Every winter, frigid Arctic air chills the northern United States, causing ice to form on the Great Lakes. The extent of this Old Man Winter held a tight grip across the region throughout much of this past winter, causing the ice coverage on the Great Lakes to reach levels not seen since 2015. A view of the Great Lakes 3 days after reaching peak ice coverage. Some ice had melted. A rapid freezing of the Great Lakes occurred during the record-breaking polar vortex in late January. The most dramatic, reinforcing shots of frigid air resulted in more and more ice to freeze over the lakes, eventually reaching its peak on March 9, 2019. At its peak, nearly 81% of the lakes were covered in Indiana ice, including nearly all of Lake Superior, Lake Huron and Lake Erie. This is significant. It is also higher than peak ice coverage of 69% in 2018, and drastically higher than the peak ice coverage in 2017, which was 19.4%. However, by April 1st, the ice coverage had a cloud-free view of the Great Lakes from space, taken on March 25, 2019. Photo/net. The rapid ice melt was caused by the changing of the season, as milder air returned to the Midwest and the stronger spring sunlight shined longer and more directly at the region. Most of the ice that does remain sits in the shallows of Lake Superior, Lake Huron, Lake Michigan and the eastern corner of Lake Erie. The sharp decrease in ice signals more than just a change in the lake's appearance. The shipping season is now officially underway as the lack of ice permits vessels to navigate the largely ice-free waters of the Great Lakes. On March 22, the first ship of the season left Twin Ports in Duluth, Minnesota, just 3 days later, the gateway between Lake Superior and Lake Huron, arriving. This is crucial for the commerce across the regions, such as the steel mill industry, that relies on ships to transport goods and materials across the lakes. Water levels on the Great Lakes are running above average, and with ice still covering parts of the lakes, the additional ice melt can cause the water levels to remain heightened into the summer. This translates to a greater risk of coastal flooding along the loch shores over the next several months. In addition to bringing the risk of flooding, this can have implications on the weather, including temperatures near the lakes down the road. Ice. The longer the water in the Great Lakes remains cold, the longer it will delay the yearly algae blooms in the summer. This is particular. Search for location/city.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.